May 24, 2019 was the day Jennifer was murdered by Fotis and Michelle, and that was the day I decided I wouldn't leave those kids until she was found. It's been 5 years, and I still haven't left their side. I had a relationship, upcoming career, family, friends. My whole life was in Connecticut. I left all that to help Gloria and Jennifer's close friends to care for these kids.
On May 24, 2019, Jennifer Dulos, a 50-year-old mother of 5, was last seen dropping her children off at school in New Canaan, Connecticut. She had been in the midst of a contentious divorce from her estranged husband, Fotis Dulos, a wealthy real estate developer. What followed was a disappearance that would capture the attention of the nation, a convoluted web of deceit, criminal behavior, and ultimately, a series of tragic events that remain unresolved to this day. Jennifer, a graduate of Brown University and an avid writer, was well regarded as a compassionate mother and an intelligent, independent woman. She had been married to Fotis Dulos for nearly 13 years before their relationship began to unravel. The couple's marriage had been plagued by accusations of infidelity, financial troubles, and verbal abuse. Jennifer filed for divorce in 2017, citing irreconcilable differences. She also sought sole custody of their 5 children, ages 8 to 13, and a protective order against Fotis. Despite these challenges, Jennifer's friends and family described her as strong and resilient. She was determined to make a fresh start and provide a stable life for her children. However, her divorce and custody battle would set the stage for the devastating events that would follow. On May 24, 2019, Jennifer Dulos vanished without a trace. The last confirmed sighting of her was in the early morning hours when she dropped off her children at their private school in New Canaan. The following day, Jennifer's black Chevrolet Suburban was found abandoned near Wavini Park, a few miles from her home. Inside the vehicle, police discovered a disturbing amount of blood, which would later be identified as Jennifer's. But despite an extensive search, Jennifer herself was nowhere to be found. The blood in the vehicle was the first significant clue in a case that would soon spiral into a media frenzy. Investigators began to piece together the timeline of her final hours, starting with her interactions with her ex-husband, Fotis Dulos. Fotis Dulos, who had been living in Farmington, Connecticut, following the separation, quickly became the prime suspect in Jennifer's disappearance. The couple had been embroiled in a bitter legal battle over custody of their children, and it was clear that Fotis had a deep personal and financial motive for wanting Jennifer out of the picture. His alibi on the morning of her disappearance seemed suspicious, and investigators began to scrutinize his movements in the days leading up to Jennifer's vanishing. Through surveillance footage, detectives were able to track Fotis and his girlfriend, Michelle Troconis, as they moved between various locations. The most incriminating evidence came from security cameras that showed Fotis and Michelle disposing of trash bags at a Hartford trash facility. The bags were later found to contain items of clothing and blood-stained materials, further confirming that Jennifer had likely been the victim of foul play. As the investigation unfolded, Fotis Dulos' behavior became increasingly erratic. He hired multiple attorneys and launched an aggressive defense, claiming his innocence. Yet, the mounting evidence against him could not be ignored. On June 1, 2019, Fotis Dulos was arrested and charged with kidnapping and murder. He was accused of using his vehicle to dispose of Jennifer's body after allegedly killing her in the midst of their bitter divorce. Despite the charges, Fotis Dulos maintained his innocence. His defense attorneys argued that he was the victim of a smear campaign, and they claimed there was no physical evidence linking him to Jennifer's disappearance. The case quickly grew more complex as new revelations emerged, including the involvement of Michelle Troconis, Fotis' girlfriend, who was also arrested and charged with conspiracy to commit murder and hindering prosecution. The investigation revealed that Fotis Dulos and Michelle Troconis had been engaged in a calculated effort to cover up the crime. Surveillance footage and forensic evidence showed the pair driving to various locations where they disposed of trash bags containing items that could be linked to Jennifer's abduction. Additionally, forensic analysis of the blood found in Fotis's car suggested that Jennifer had been severely injured, possibly fatally, inside the vehicle. The case grew even darker as authorities uncovered a history of domestic violence and emotional abuse in the Dulos marriage. Jennifer had long complained about Fotis's controlling behavior, and evidence surfaced that he had been stalking her after the divorce. One particularly chilling detail was that Fotis had made multiple attempts to reconcile with Jennifer, only to be rejected. These failed attempts seemed to fuel his anger and frustration, which may have contributed to the violence that ultimately led to her death. While in custody, Fotis Dulos' mental state began to deteriorate. He repeatedly denied involvement in his ex-wife's death and appeared to be increasingly paranoid. In January 2020, he attempted suicide at his Farmington home. He was found unconscious and rushed to the hospital, where he was placed on life support after a failed suicide attempt. A few days later, he was removed from life support and died on January 30th, 2020. Fotis Dulos' death raised new questions about the case. While his passing removed him as a direct suspect, it did not end the investigation into Jennifer's disappearance. Authorities continue to work to piece together the mystery of what had happened to Jennifer Dulos. While Fotis Dulos' death closed the door on his prosecution, Michelle Troconis still faced charges. Prosecutors believed that she had helped dispose of evidence and had played a crucial role in concealing the truth behind Jennifer's murder. Troconis, who had been living in a nearby town at the time of the murder, claimed that she was unaware of Fotis's involvement in any criminal activity. However, the evidence suggested otherwise, and she faced a long legal battle. In 2020, Troconis' defense attorneys pushed for a dismissal of the charges against her, arguing that there was insufficient evidence to support the conspiracy charges. They also claimed that her role in the case had been overstated by the prosecution. But the legal system would take years to fully resolve her case. For Jennifer's family and friends, the case was a heartbreaking reminder of the trauma caused by domestic violence. Her mother, Gloria Farber, and her friends spoke publicly about the pain they felt in the aftermath of her disappearance, urging for justice for Jennifer and her children. The Dulos children, who were left without both of their parents, would have to navigate the rest of their lives with the trauma of losing their mother in such a brutal and senseless way. Jennifer Dulos' case remains officially unsolved in some respects. While Fotis Dulos' death and Michelle Troconis' ongoing legal proceedings left some questions unanswered, the emotional toll on those involved is undeniable. Authorities continue to search for answers regarding Jennifer's final whereabouts, and the lingering questions about what truly happened in the early morning hours of May 24, 2019, remain a dark shadow over the case. As of now, Jennifer Dulos' murder remains a cold case in the eyes of many. While Fotis Dulos' death and the prosecution of Michelle Troconis have brought some closure, the whereabouts of Jennifer's body have never been conclusively determined. Her murder, although highly suspected to be the result of domestic violence, remains without the full resolution that her family so desperately needs. The case has sparked greater awareness about the dangers of toxic relationships and the often hidden world of emotional abuse. For Jennifer Dulos' children, the fight for justice is far from over. Despite their personal losses, they have remained advocates for their mother, urging the public to remember her not as a victim, but as a loving and devoted mother whose life was tragically cut short. The case serves as a reminder of the complexities and horrors that can arise from the breakdown of a marriage and the far-reaching impact of domestic violence on families. Though her body may still be missing, Jennifer Dulos' story is far from forgotten. The case remains a symbol of the ongoing battle for justice in domestic abuse cases and the hope that one day the truth will fully emerge.